let's move on with our task here of trying to copy this. So here is our score again. I'm going to move it over to this side. I can still see it, but you once again should have it open. So the first thing we'll do is kind of deal with this text over here that's all kind of messy. So automatically, even though we did not say anything about this, like we decided, we never said anything about the arranger, Finale automatically went and added this kind of shaded name in case you decide to add it later. So we're going to go ahead and delete it. And if you have the selection tool on, now I know I told you that usually you'll edit text from the text tool. However, if you're going to do things, well, instead of having to select a particular tool each time, another thing you can do is double click on a particular object. And if you do that, you'll see the handles pop up. So you'll basically still go in that tool. Or to do things like delete, you can actually click on something. You can't do that for everything, but you can do that for text. So I'm just going to go on the selection tool, click on the arranger, and once it turns purple, I'll just press delete and delete it. And I'm going to move this down a little bit. Just click and drag it, and then click on score and close it. And I'm also going to go ahead just to try to make this look a little bit more like this. Now I know the font isn't exactly the same, but we don't need to worry about that. We're going to move this down a little bit. So we'll go ahead and we'll go to the page layout tool, and we're going to move down the first system. It'll give us a little bit more space. Now normally, if this last system is very low, it'll get pushed over to the next page, but it didn't, so we're okay. So I'll go back to this, I'm going to move this down. So we'll try to get it more or less to be the same. Now if you wanted to change the text, what you would do is when you select a tool, you'll get a new menu each time. So let's say you have the staff tool, this will change to staff. If you have the measure tool, this will change to measure, and it gives you certain options that you can work with. So for the text tool, this where you will deal with the font is this. So you would select, let's say, this particular bit of text right here, this box, which is it is a box. If you click on it twice, double click it, you can. That's how you can edit the text. By the way, you can go here and just change whatever. But if I just select it, then I go to text, I can change the size, I can change the font, you know, I can go to whatever, let's say this, you know, well, undo that, but that's just how we deal with that. So we won't, the only thing that Finale doesn't do that I wish it did is when you look for fonts, I kind of wish that it would show you what the font would look like. You know, Microsoft Word does that. So sometimes if I was looking for a particular font, then I might go and take this text and paste it into Microsoft Word and try out different layouts to see which kind of different fonts to see which one I like better. Then I come here and then I know what it is. So I look it up. Okay, excellent. So let's also deal with this little bit of text right here because I don't like it. So under the window, it's the score manager. This used to be dealt with from the staff tool, but they moved it, so it's under score manager. So here we go, score manager. And this is where you can change different things, like you can assign a certain instrument to the playback, but which is not that important because we're not really going to make this playback, but you can if you want to. And then this is where you'll change the name. So the full name right now, the full name is the one obviously that appears on the first system, and then the abbreviated name is the one that will appear on all the other ones. So you just have to click on this and just delete it. And once again, you can't just do it from the score. So it can be frustrating to just try to click that and it doesn't work. So then we go to the abbreviated one and we change it. We could put whatever text we want there, but in this case we don't need anything. So we're done with that. Another thing we might want to do, since now we have this larger space, is we could go to the page layout, and under the page margins, you can't see it, but on the side here it says edit page margins, and I can go, as you can see, it says 1 inch, and the reason is that it tries to make room for that the staff name. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do 0.5 for that as well, and we'll uncheck this because otherwise, well, it depends. If if we're just dealing with the first page, this will be fine. But well, this will ask you is which pages you're trying to make the changes to. So in this case, we're just dealing with page 1, so this is fine. But sometimes if you do it to all pages and this is set up for the margins of the first page, it'll push all kinds of things down that you don't want. So you have to watch out for what it is that you're actually trying to change. So when I apply it, you can see that I have a little bit more space now. Okay, excellent. So our next step is to enter, I'm going to go ahead and save this, by the way. I'm going to call it minuet, just in case something happens. Let's stop, save. Okay, so our next step is to enter some notes. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to use the SPDY entry tool. I'm sorry, we're going to use the note entry tool. I usually use the SPDY entry tool, but we're going to start with this. And if it didn't happen, which it didn't happen in this case either, you should have a little palette that pops up. It didn't pop up, so I'll go to Window and I'll say Simple Entry Palette. And what this is, it basically gives you a whole list of note values and other things that you can do, such as increase a note by half a step, raise it by half a step, add a tie, make something a triplet or a grace note. There's also another one, a corresponding one called the Simple Entry Rest Palette, which you can use as well. So basically, once you have those will stay here, and this is how you will go ahead and change and add notes. So for example, I'll go 8th note, and I'll just go here, note G, B, D. Now, as you can see, this isn't the fastest of methods. Okay, so it's a little bit. Okay, so here's an example. I just entered an F sharp. I was supposed to enter a G. So what I can do now that the note is purple, it's highlighted. In other words, active. So with the arrow keys, I can just go up, and it'll go up diatonically, not chromatically. It'll go up to the next note. And then I'll just do, let's say, a couple of measures here, just to kind of give us an idea. Then I messed up again, so I go here, and then, okay, good. So now to get out of the selection tool, to go from any tool back to the selection tool, what I like to do is just to press escape twice, and that gets me back here, or you can just select that as well. So there's a couple of things to notice here. One is that the beaming that Finale created by default isn't the beaming that we have in the music, okay? And the second thing to notice is that the first two measures are the same as the second two measures. So now we're not going to enter articulations just yet, but just to show you how those two things work. So first of all, with the beaming, if I want to change anything about a note in the note entry tool, what I usually do is I go from the selection tool, I just double click on a note, and then that'll select that particular note, and it'll switch the tool to note entry tool. And then using the / key, I can force beaming to happen. So the beaming will happen from that note to the one before it. And conversely, if I press it again, so it'll alternate between breaking the beam to creating the beam. So let's say that I wanted to do all broken beams, then I would go to each of these notes and I would break it. Now, because I want them all to be beamed, I just do this. And there you go. So now, as far as copying the measures, you can do that with the selection tool. You just select both measures, just press shift, so press shift while you select both, and then just press, you can actually either click and drag and do this, or you could do just the usual copy and paste. Okay, so that's all well and good. So let's go ahead and add the lower layer, and then we'll go ahead and put some articulations and dynamics. So here's that, and there's my bass, D, and then back to 8th notes. So as you can see, this isn't the fastest of ways, but there isn't really truly a super fast way. The only the fastest way of all would be for you to use Hyperscribe and play the music. However, for that you would have to have a keyboard. and you would have to be decently good at playing keyboard, which in my case won't work. So I have to enter everything by hand. Like I said, I use the speedy entry tool, which is a little bit faster, but it's making scores in Finale is time consuming, and you'll find that out very, very soon. Okay, so we have that much so far. Now, another thing I'll show you how to do is how to move measures around, because as you can see, Finale is set up 3 measures per system, which we don't want. We want to have 8 actually. So what we can do is just 2 things to do. You can either select the whole document, which just by pressing Control A, and then go to Utilities, and then Fit Measures, and then say Lock Layout with 8 measures. Now this works out well if all your measures are going to be the same amount. So this can come in handy. Now, do you see how it's all kind of crunched up together? Finale will do that sometimes. So there's if you go to Utilities and Update Layout, sometimes that takes care of it. And if it doesn't, sometimes I find that if you move things around a little bit more, they're kind of crammed together, I think. Yeah, there you go. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they're kind of crammed together. Okay, so another way to fix this, the problem is the measures are too wide, and basically music is just getting kind of squished together. So let me try one other thing that sometimes works. This doesn't work either. Okay, so we need to make the music a little bit smaller. So what we'll do is we'll make the entire score slightly smaller. So we'll go to the resize tool and just click on this and make it, say, 90%. See how that works? That didn't really help, did it? Let me try one other trick. Select all, music spacing. That didn't help either. I'll try another one. Beat spacing. That didn't help either. That didn't help either. None of these are helping. There we go. See, it's Finale will get fussy that way sometimes. So basically, a combination of things. Usually, automatically, Finale will update its layout and kind of push things around where they're supposed to be. Once in a while, it won't do it for whatever reason, and it could just be that my program is a little bit buggy. But normally, if nothing works, try moving measures around and see how that works. If not, select all and try applying different kinds of spacings. Go to music spacing and try note spacing, beat spacing, time signature spacing, and see what happens. And if you're still having trouble, just let me know, and I'll try to fix it for you. But if you go to okay, now the next thing is how do you move measures around? The other way, like you saw me do this, and then the measure was popping down, right? That's very helpful as well. So what you do, you just select the measure, you press down key, and that will just move that particular measure down to the next system, and then vice versa to move it down. I can take 3 measures and move all 3 of them down, and so on and so forth. Okay, now it looks like there's too many measures here. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. This keeps happening. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There. I do think that changing the size was helpful, and it just had to kind of update. So this is a helpful tool as well. This percentage tool also works if you want to change the size of a particular note, and that will come in handy later in your project. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Let's go ahead and add, I'm going to zoom in. Hopefully you can see this better. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add some articulations. So I'll do staccatos. Okay, so the articulation tool is this. Now you can, to enter articulations, you can go to note, just click on it, and you'll get this window where you can choose different articulations. Now, these are not all the articulations you have available. Those are just the ones that Finale by default puts there. There are many, many more you can add, and you can even create your own. But of course, the very first one is the staccato. Now, on the top left of the box, you'll see an S, and here you see an X, and here you see an A. What that means is that there was a keyboard shortcut assigned to it by default. So what that means, if I have the articulation tool selected, and I go to the note, and I press S and click on a note, the articulation will pop up. Now you'll see a little handle on the articulation. That's because this tool is selected. That means that I can take that articulation and move it up and down or wherever if I want to. But just let it be where it wants to be. So we'll do that again over here, staccato, staccato, and we'll do staccato here. So of course now in retrospect it would have been better to first add all the articulations and then copy the measures, right? But I just wanted to show you how to do that. The next thing we'll add is forte, and to do that we'll use the expression tool, and we'll just double click on the first note, and we'll get a whole list of different things we can do here. Rehearsal marks, we'll go to dynamics, and this is the expression selection, and we'll click on forte. As you can see here, once again, there is a shortcut assigned. Now these I seem to forget all the time, but if you remember that forte is 4, then you can do, once you have the expression tool selected, you could click 4, so you could press down 4 and click on a note, and then forte will appear. But once again, I can always forget. There also is a keyboard cover that you can buy that has all the finale shortcuts on them. I don't have it, but it'd be great to have. Okay, so I'll go ahead and save my document, and it's starting to look a lot like it now. And there's also some fingerings. Now fingerings in finale are also articulations. So we'll go here, and let's say we want to do a 3, finger 3 on that. We'll look through here to where 3 is. Now this is actually an easy shortcut to remember because it's just the finger number. And then we'll go here and we'll add 4. So what I did just now is I held down 4 while I clicked, and there's another 4 here, and there's another 2 here. Now if you look at the original, now we're being kind of picky, right? But here's the original, and here is, so the finger 4 was actually underneath. So what I can do is I can just drag this down. Sorry, I have the articulation tool selected. I could just click on that note and just drag it down. Okay, all right. Something I want to show you real quick. No, that doesn't work. Okay, sometimes you can flip things. Okay, so that's 4. And then the last thing we need to do is to add slurs. So for that you need the Smart Shape tool, and that's because slurs will change size depending on what's happening in the layout. So that's where there's smart shapes. So what you need to do is double click. So I have the slur selected. I double click on a note, and on the second click I hold down, and then I drag until I reach the note that I want the slur to end on. Now you have to make sure that it's highlighted because it attaches itself to it. So it's like a magnetic kind of a shape. And then you do the same thing here. There we go. And then you can do the same thing over here. And that's pretty much all you need. There is one measure where you have a triplet. So that's the penultimate measure. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that one, and I'll show you how you can do it. So for the, basically, I think you already figured out. You just do 8th note. So we're back to the simple entry tool. We have the 8th note, triplet, and then we just go A, B, C, and then that's it. Then now when you change note value, you have to make sure you uncheck the triplet. Otherwise, it'll continue to think that you're using triplets. And then we have D and F sharp. So 2 little things about this. You see here's the triplet, right? And as you can see, the stems are in the opposite direction. That's because they really could be in either direction. It would be correct. So it's not that finale is doing anything wrong. It's just that that's how they chose to do it here. However, there will be times when you want to have a specific stem direction for whatever reason. So how you can do that is you want to select that note. So you go to the selection tool, double click on the note, and then using the L key, you can switch stem direction. And you can do that. So in other words, finale will go to the default stem direction that it thinks is correct, but you can force it to do something else. Like I could do this if I wanted to for whatever reason, and then this I could go here. So you can do whatever you want. But most of the time finale will do a pretty good job. Now the other thing to notice would be, once again we're being detailed here, but see how the triplet shape has a little slur, which sometimes you see. You can change that in finale as well, and all of that would be something you do from the Triplet tool. And if you click on your Triplet, hold on a second, let's try it a different way. Here we go. Now sometimes it doesn't work to just select that. So I selected, once again, I wanted to activate the Triplet tool for this particular triplet, and what it was doing is it was thinking I wanted to add a new triplet. So I went ahead and went to the selection tool, and I double clicked on that 3. which means now if you have the handle open, and if you double click on that, you get to pick different things. And here you can choose the appearance, whether you want it to be a number with like a ratio, or you want to have a bracket or a slur or nothing. You know, you can add a slur if you want to. And it didn't appear for some reason. There we go. That actually doesn't even look that, that looks pretty good. So it's not exactly what that was, but it's a little closer. But you can do all sorts of tweaking like that. So the way the triplets looked normally is just fine, honestly. So we'll get rid of that. Was it bracket? It was bracket, yes. Oh no, oh there's another one, that's bracket. I can't remember which one I started with. Number. So nothing. Shape, right? Okay, got it. It was nothing. Okay, there you go. So we'll use this. The tuplet tool becomes extremely handy, and it's really necessary when you're doing things like odd number things like quintuplets, septuplets, any kind of thing like that, or 3/2, or any kind of polyrhythm. It'll come in very handy. But anyway, so with this information, there's one last thing. Actually, there's the repeat sign, which we'll do through the repeat tool. We'll just go to the last measure and click on back and just add it. And you can select specify a certain amount of repeats that you want, but you don't need to do that. And that's pretty much it here. This number here, again, the instructions are to copy this completely. I mean, there's a 3 here, which is there because this is part of a book. But if you wanted to have a 3 there, all you would have to do is go to the text tool and just double click and type 3. And then you would go here to make it bigger. You would just move it wherever, and then go to text, and then font, size, and then do, 24, something like that. Okay. So this is basically, this concludes the second video. I'll see you in the next one.